You are live.
Thank you very much. All right, I want to go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Board of Port Wardens on Tuesday, March 20. Uh, I'm sorry. Did I open the wrong script? I'm sorry. On April 23rd, 2024, and will be called at 7:03 p.m. In attendance tonight, we have Harold Siegel, Port Warden. We've got Jared Lerner, Port Warden. We've got Port Warden Jonathan McCobb. And we also have the various staff. Carrie, thanks for joining. Madeline helping on the video. And we've got Mr. Adams from the city. We have three or more, so we have a quorum. Let's go ahead and move to approval of the agenda. Next item on the agenda is the approval. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda from the prior meeting, which was March 26th.
A motion to approve.
Okay, can I get a second?
I have to abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't there either.
Carrie, am I allowed to second? I know I can't make a motion. Madeline, is Carrie still in?
Yeah.
No, I don't see her anymore.
I
might hop back on.
I believe you can. We were only because at this meeting, if there were only three people and one wasn't there, you
Okay.
have
I'm going to second
have the
it,
ability.
and we're missing our secretary as well. So I don't know who's covering that portion, maybe Brian. So I'm going to go ahead and second it, and if we have a problem, we'll go from there. But we can certainly re-look at the minutes should we need to a little later or at the next meeting. It shouldn't help, prevent us from moving forward. All right, especially since there are no findings of fact in this particular meeting, so we should be good. All right, administrative. We already did the approval. I'm sorry. We need to approve the agenda. I should have done that. I'm sorry. I passed over that. Can I get an approval for the agenda of this meeting? I'd entertain one.
Motion to approve the agenda.
All right. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Second.
Second.
All right. Jared had called it out, but I'll get you back, Harold. Don't worry. All right. So we handle the administrative after the fact, but the process of the last minute, but we can move forward from this point. We can skip through any findings of fact because we have none since the last meeting had no new business, and we have no old business standing. So we can move our way all the way through to new business. The next item on the agenda is Port 2024-00004. Mr. Timothy Newbury at 7 Loudon Lane. And it's to move one mooring piling to install a boat lift and install two personal watercraft lifts. I'm going to wait for the tech to bring in all related parties. All right. Brian and Timothy, can I see your video? Because we have to do all right. But we have to do, thank you very much. Okay. Anyone planning to testify, please raise your right hand. And we're going to go ahead and swear you in. All right. You do solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give to the Port Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, thank you guys very much. All right, as a preliminary matter, the board will accept the record of the application packet, the staff report from planning and zoning, as well as any public comments. Mr. Adams, are there any public comments or any additional elements to this particular application?
No, we did not receive any comments.
Okay, fantastic. All right, I guess, can I bring, who is going to be presenting the application? Mr. Newbury, or is it the Brianne?
So I, Brianne, can go ahead and do that for you.
Okay, that would be great. Let me go ahead and open the file. Give me 1 second. Okay, that's the staff report. Okay, go ahead. I've got it open.
So we are just proposing to move a mooring piling that is currently existing 6 foot closer to land. That is toward the end of Mr. Newberry's pier. And then we are requesting to install 2 new jet ski lifts closer to land on the left side of the pier when looking from land to water.
Okay. And you know, this was, I'm going to obviously open up to the other port wardens. As far as I see, you're well within the setback. There really are about the easiest and well done drawings. I mean, it looks like you've got plenty of distance, even you know, with the width presented on the jet ski lifts. That you've just got a ton of space before any type of setback. You're obviously well behind the end of the dock, which is well behind the harbor line. You know, this looks good to me. Any port wardens, any questions on the proposal or applications? None?
Nope.
Okay, I mean, it's sort of clean and dry to me. So, you know, as far as all the various titles that we have to deal with, you know, it's not too close to navigation. You know, the structure is done to, it's already been approved by the city recommends it. You know, it's the elements related to the setback, anything like that sort of looks sort of perfect in this equation. To me, and to how we sort of perceive Title 15. So I guess we can move this along. Is there any more questions just before we declare the public hearing closed? No, great. All right. I declare the public hearing for Port 2024-0004 closed. So I'll entertain a motion to approve. Let me, for the sake of Carrie, as said before, I mean, according to section 15, 16, 20 about navigation, it's a non-issue how you're, you know, you're within your riparian rights, which is title 15, 16, 30. I think you're well within your confines. So let's go ahead, and I would love to entertain a motion to approve or deny the application for 2024-0004. Mr. Newberry at 7 Loudon Lane.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, Harold Teagle, thank you very much. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. Okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve Port 2024-0004, Mr. Newberry, 7 Loudon Lane, please say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye or yes. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you guys very much. We can move on to the next one. All right. So the next on the agenda is Port 2024-00005, Horn Point Harbor Marina, 105 Eastern Avenue. And it's to remove existing pier and relocate one existing finger pier, construct 90 lateral feet of 30-foot wide finger pier at a, 3-foot wide finger pier at slip 25 and 26 and a wave break below, and remove dolphin piles and install 2 mooring piles. So looks like, Madeline, we've got everyone in. Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. For the sake of cleanliness, because Carrie was off, at some point after this, I do want to revisit the acceptance of the meeting, because we need you, because the other 2 port wardens, they weren't at the last one. So just don't let me pass after this particular application. All right. So who is presenting from Horn Point Marina? Are both you, Mike and Joseph, doing it, or just one of you?
I'll go ahead. I'm Joe Lewis.
Okay, well, I want to swear you in. I just want to swear in anyone speaking this
Sure.
evening.
Yeah, all three of us, yes.
All three. Okay, who is the third? I only see Mike and Joseph.
It just might be the two of us tonight. I think Seth Laner is traveling. He may not be able to join us.
Okay, no worries. All right, let's go ahead and anyone planning to testify, please raise your right hand. All right. You do solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give to the poor Wardens is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Thank you guys very much. As a preliminary matter, the board will accept into record the application packet, the staff report for planning, zoning, and any public comments. Mr. Adams, are there any public comments or any additional information related to this application?
No, we've received no additional comments or information.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. I guess if we can have the applicant or consultant, whoever intends on testifying, if you could sort of run us through the application, that would be great.
Sure. I'm Joe Lewis, and I put the plans together. I'm from Firefly Technical Services. What we have here is a commercial marina, and what we're proposing to do is to remove a portion of platform and some existing mooring piles. And what we plan to construct would be a new finger pier out the same distance to those dolphin piles that we're removing, and then create a wave break for that slip. And let me look, I think that's slip 25. And the new wave break would be approximately 64 feet, 4 inches in length, and extend out to the harbor line. We also we're going to remove a finger pier. The existing finger pier, look here, is currently it's between slip 27 and 28. We're going to remove that and replace it between slip 28 and 29.
Okay.
And that finger pier is approximately 20 feet in length. The existing structures are about 14 feet, 11 inches to the lateral line. And the new finger pier will extend to within 14 feet of the lateral line.
Okay. The only question I have is on the drawing on 6, what is the distance? You know, sometimes with the drawings and the scale, it's hard to see. And I'm sure you know there's no setback from the harbor line, but there's a hard rule that you cannot protrude over. And I just want to make sure, and I'm sure the answer is, you know, that it is well within it, but I just want to double check. It looks like that wave wall protrudes outward. I don't have a dimension. How many inches away from that actual pier is the wave wall or the whale
The wave,
board?
yeah, I've got that for you here. The actual wave break is approximately 1 foot from the pier.
Okay,
The
but
wave-
that 1 foot is not protruding over the harbor line in any way. That
Correct.
additional wave board. Correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and again, that's just the scale gets hard when you're looking at, you know, that little of a distance. I just was checking. And obviously no one, I assume, but it would get enforced by, of course, the harbor master. No one is going to be docking on that in any way. On the outside of that wave board, correct?
Correct.
I wouldn't think so. I would assume it gets pretty rough right there as well, but I just wanted to double check. All right, Port Wardens, any questions? Harold?
Yeah, what actually is holding that wave break in place? It's 60 feet long. What's holding it there?
Because it's part of the pier, isn't it?
It's what?
Is it a part of the pier? The actual wave
Correct.
attenuation? Built into the pier, I believe. I don't really see
Correct.
it.
Let me pull up
Got broad
the
wall on
detail, right? I don't know if you have page 6 of 6 that has a detail. That actually just gets bolted to the pier pilings.
But there are no. You're creating. It looks like you're creating a whole new wave break.
Correct.
Further towards the harbor line than the existing pier. So what's holding it?
It's
What's holding it
through
in
bolted
place?
to the pilings, Harold. On 6 of 6 page, you can see the through bolts.
Is there are there pilings? I don't see any pilings. I just don't see the pilings at the harbor line. There are pilings at the harbor line already.
They
Correct.
will be. No, they're
There
getting
are
added, correct? Proposed new
there are
finger pier and wave break on page
there
4 of
are
6.
there are 2 existing dolphin piles at
Which
the
are-
harbor line now that we're removing. Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I see the 2 that are being removed, but then what again is holding that 60-foot new wave break? And then
We're
and are those pilings
Yeah, look at the cross
extending
section.
past the harbor line? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you're questioning the harbor line, where it is in relationship?
Are you putting new pilings in, first of all?
Yes.
How many?
Let me look. We're actually constructing a whole new pier, a finger pier. And there will be approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Approximately 24 new piles will be driven for that finger pier.
Okay.
And the wave break will be attached to those new piles. Yeah.
And those new pilings will not extend past the harbor line.
Correct.
Not
The
only,
new
yeah. Harold, that's what I asked at first. Not only will they not, the actual boards that sit off an additional, what did you say, 3 inches? I'm sorry, Joseph. It'll be behind the harbor line.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct. Yeah. The wave break will be at the harbor line. The piles will be approximately, let me look here, 23 feet. Now,
They're also-
approximately a foot within that, inside the harbor line there.
It's kind of hard to tell because they're both at different scales.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Just checking.
Well, yeah, all the overhead scales are 1/60th. The other scale is just a cross-section diagram of what it looks like walking out the pier. So I think it's clear to me. I asked the one question that I had because of looking at it from the bird's eye view, that we got a solid answer that outermost portion, which is the left side of 6 of 6 image, will not be across the harbor line at all.
I don't know if you all can see that, but I think that's reversed. But essentially what we're doing is enclosing that outer slip where this sailboat is right here. So it's adding this new wave break around that slip that already exists, which only right now is 2 dolphin piles. And this is creating a 30 by 60 L-shaped wave break attached at the innermost corner to the existing wave break. It's that outer bulkhead. but then driving new piles inside of the harbor line and the walkway to access our slip, basically for protection of that slip. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that slip at all. That's the slip that was Lee Power resided in Fiber. Only Lee could live there for as long as he did and put up with the amount of waves and weather. Essentially, this is enclosing that slip and making it a larger slip by demoing that finger pier, the existing finger pier on the inside of it to make it a 60 by 30, but all within the harbor line. We're not increasing the number of slips. This is just reconfiguring that outer slip, which was unprotected.
All right. Any other questions of the Port Wardens?
Has he had, over the years, has he had problems with fill in on that side?
Excuse me?
Have you had it fill in on that side where you're putting the wave attenuator with sand? Fill back in with sand when you get it dredged.
I'm sure that it has. I'm sure that is filled in over time. So I imagine there will be some dredging at some point, which on our existing state permit.
Yeah, we're showing a water depth there, just over 8 feet of water depth there currently. The inside of the marina was recently dredged. That would be, I think, between like slips 4 and 15 was dredged.
The actual work only ended up doing slip 1 and 2, based on the amount of filling in that corner. We had concentrated all of our efforts on that because the depths were still viable from basically 3-4 all the way out. So where it really filled in was that inner corner in slip 1-2, which is a catamaran slip that couldn't pull all the way in because it was so shallow up towards that corner.
Any more questions of the Port Wardens? Okay, let's go ahead. All right. So one last shot. Any more questions before we, declare the public hearing closed? Okay, I declare the public hearing on Port 2024-0005-105
Excuse me.
Eastern Avenue. Yes.
Chair, if you would leave the public meeting open, I just came across an issue. The sign that was posted for the property incorrectly displayed the meeting as happening at City Hall. So we do have some members of the public that were interested in testifying who are at City Hall now and not able to join the meeting at the moment. So if we could, continue this until our next meeting so that they're able to make their comments and present their materials.
Okay.
Don't you have to sign up first before you have to sign up anyway, even if it's in person, right?
Carrie, what's the protocol? I know the timing with like someone actually doing a written comment, but showing up in person, I'm not quite sure.
So generally speaking, you guys don't have a requirement that if someone is going to testify via Zoom that they have to
Breathe.
I mean, they sign up and they get on the agenda. But I believe in the past that there have been times where members of the public who have wanted to testify that hasn't necessarily signed up, but is present at the meeting has testified. So it's your discretion. I think this sounds like a inadvertent, mistake in the sense of the location. People think that, they have effectively de facto signed up to testify, but didn't realize it was via Zoom as opposed to in person. So I don't think that there's any abuse of discretion by any stretch of the imagination if you were to continue the public hearing to give those individuals the opportunity to testify at the next meeting.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, Brian, do we actually have people that showed up at the city? Do we know at City Hall?
Yeah, yes, we have
Okay.
Two
All right.
two members, yeah, two members of the public that are actually there now.
Okay.
They can pick
All
up the
right.
phone.
Um, would that, I don't know what the timing is like, not that timing matters with this, but is there a way to transition those two waiting and say, can you join online or not? Is that too technically advanced?
Well, I
Yeah.
tried that, but they said they actually have materials that they wanted to present.
Okay.
So they didn't send them in early because they thought they were going to be testifying at the meeting in person.
Okay. If that were the case, I would, because the signage was incorrect and that's what the public felt. Now, Carrie, I'm not sure if I need a motion for this, but as the chair, I would probably recommend we push this till next month and just move it. It'll end up being in old business for next month. But does this require a motion, Carrie, for Robert's rules?
No, it doesn't require a motion. It's the chair's discretion to continue a public hearing. It doesn't necessarily wouldn't fall under maybe old business, but it if you want to be better than safe than sorry, you can move and have it be presented as a motion, but it is ultimately up to you, so you don't need a motion.
Okay, because there are two humans actually there. If it were just a mistake of the public signage and no one were physically there with materials in hand, I would push forward. But because there are actual members of the public that went to where they were told to go, then I would recommend, or I'm going to say, we're going to push this forward. Okay. It obviously, I don't know how. I'm going to leave it up to the city to correct the signage for the next meeting, so they know to make sure they join us online or have written comments, because we're not going to switch to the city hall from what the mechanism we've been using.
Yeah, I will take care of all that. I will take care of all that. Yeah.
And
Okay.
Robert, just to clarify, because you said you're going to push this forward. To clarify for the record, you mean continue the public hearing to the next meeting?
Yes, I'm going to continue the public hearing for Port 2024-0005 Horn Point Harbor Marina, 105 Eastern Avenue, to the next meeting, the meeting in May. Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. Sorry about, we'll deal with this at the next meeting. All right. Thank you. All right. Miscellany. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, I was just going to add at the board and commission training, there was a universal agreement for most of the boards that they wanted to start having some of the meetings, if not everyone, but at least quarterly in person at City Hall. There's agreement that it would really help. It would just help in the system. So I wanted to throw that at us so we could perhaps have a meeting, every so often in person as well. That would kind of correct that sort of problem.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I do like some face-to-face. I do want to hear now that we have every port warden here, how do you guys feel? Like, what is frequency?
Every other one. We only meet once, so yeah, once a quarter would be fine with me.
Once a quarter is good. Now, keep in mind, we tend to have 2 or 3 months where we don't meet. So we might be able to achieve it with, without hard coding it, like once every 6 months or once every trimester, might be good. The only reason why I'm hesitant, I don't mind saying this in public, is I've gotten so used to looking at Google Earth and having all my screens show me everything that meeting in live person, it's going to be hard to look through a 49-inch monitor and 2 laptops. But I guess I will transition to the old way with no problem. So I will talk to Mr. Adams and we'll get one on the schedule where we meet live. Okay.
If I can just jump in real quick, one thing I do
Sure.
want you guys to consider before sort of making a definitive decision is the TV studio. They, are stretched pretty thin as is, and I just want to make sure there isn't going to be an issue with the TV studio and meeting in person. Because we do want to make sure, since you guys are a quasi-judicial board, that these are still being recorded for YouTube purposes. And so there may be a conflict in terms of like if another board or commission's meeting at the same time, or if they don't have the staffing of the TV studio. So just something to keep in mind with the in-person meetings, and going back to that there are city staff that need to be taken into consideration as well.
All right, thank you. And I will say this as not just on the board, but as a citizen, I love that these meetings are on YouTube from all different commissions. So that's a good point. And again, I'll try to coordinate with Brian, and he can try to coordinate with the studio and so that we can still be at least hybrid. I think going 100% only live is not a good direction. I think going to partially live as well as with some virtual attendees, and so that it is recorded, I think is really invaluable, but that's just my opinion. But I'll talk and work with Brian. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. So there being no other items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much, Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All right, Mr. McCobb, thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Did
Aye.
before
All right.
before we
Thank you very
before we
much.
adjourn,
No opposition.
Hold on, hold on.
didn't we need to deal with the beginning of the meeting before we
Yeah,
adjourn?
you're right.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. So now that we have everyone here, so unfortunately, Jonathan and Jared were not at the last meeting. So in theory, they can't do the vote on the
I'll get back to that.
on the prior minutes. And I seconded it to move forward, but I wasn't sure. Carrie had been off for a brief second, so I wasn't sure if I was allowed to second. Carrie, am I allowed to second a motion?
Yeah, so first of all, let me apologize. My computer is terrible. And
No worries.
That's why my camera's not on, because I need to do as minimum as possible to get it to barely operate. But yes, you, as the chair, you're not allowed to make the initial motion, but you can second any motion at any time. So,
Okay. So
only
we
just
should
the
be
initial motion that you
we
cannot
should
do.
be fine. We don't have to redo it. So
Absolutely right.
no worries. I knew I couldn't make a motion, but I wasn't sure on the second. Thank you very much. So we don't have to redo that, and we are definitely officially adjourned. Thank you guys very much. And Brian, I'll reach out about like the scheduling a live TV thing mixed with, making sure we get the other Horn Point sort of back in the agenda.
Yeah. I don't know how that sign got out like that, unfortunately, but we'll fix it for next time.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much.